Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out another one of the buffed Pokemon from Season 13 of Go Battle League, and that is Poltergeist Shadow DUSCLOPS. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now DUSCLOPS is a pure ghost type with the moveset of Hex, Ice Punch, and for the first time ever, it finally gets a nuke move with same type attack bonus, and that is Poltergeist. This trainer pairs it up with a Galarian Moltres and an Aurorus. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Poltergeist Shadow DUSCLOPS in action. Hopping to the first match, picking up a fairly neutral lead Aurorus into Steelix. Aurorus can play this matchup pretty close over time, as Aurorus is going to be able to outpace Steelix and spam out these Weather Balls. First Weather Ball is going to connect, Steelix is going to be able to tank it and return fire. Aurorus is going to let this through, Steelix goes for the crunch, and thankfully they do not get a defense drop. Aurorus firing off Weather Ball number 2, this will get Steelix into the yellow health, and one more should come very close to getting rid of this Steelix. Steelix is going to fire off another charge move, they go for the Psychic Fangs, Aurorus able to hang on and reach another Weather Ball. This will be getting the Steelix incredibly low. Steelix commits the shield. Aurorus is going to get farmed down, but now in comes Galarian Moltres. Galarian Moltres should resist Steelix's standard moveset, so Galarian Moltres is in a prime position to wing attack all the way down. Galarian Moltres leads with a ton of energy. Opponent is going to send in Tapu Fini into a loaded Brave Bird. Brave Bird onto Tapu Fini, able to land, and in comes Shadow DUSCLOPS. In the back, the opponent has Golbat. Even if this is the Shadow Ball, DUSCLOPS would be able to tank it. DUSCLOPS lets it through, it's the Poison Fang bait, and DUSCLOPS going straight for the kill shot, charging up the Poltergeist. Poltergeist one-shots the Golbat. Back in comes Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is going to be forced to try and farm down, but they are not going to be able to farm down the bulky DUSCLOPS. DUSCLOPS is going to be able to comfortably farm down, so they're forced to fire off a charge move. Surf will KO the DUSCLOPS. Galar Moltres gets the 2-shield flex, and that is a good game. Neutral lead in the next match, Aurorus into Pelipper. Opponent is going to save switch into Shadow Machamp, which is going to be met with the DUSCLOPS. This is not enough for a payback, so DUSCLOPS can let it through. Opponent is going to go for the cross chop. DUSCLOPS continuing to farm, builds up to the back-to-back Ice Punches, and it's going to fire off an Ice Punch here. Ice Punch onto the Machamp. Does get the shield, so maybe they actually have payback. We are going to see the shield from the DUSCLOPS. They do not have it. They only have Rock Slide. And now we're going to see DUSCLOPS fire off Ice Punch number 2. Shadow Machamp is going to let that go and send back in Pelipper. Pelipper is going to be able to reach a Weather Ball, but a Weather Ball is not going to KO Shadow DUSCLOPS from this range. DUSCLOPS able to hang on and reach the Poltergeist. Do they respect the damage? They do not, and down goes Pelipper. In the back, they have Unova Stunfisk, which is about to get eaten alive by Aurorus. Aurorus is going to fire off the Weather Ball and grab a shield from the Unova Stunfisk. Unova Stunfisk can hit for super effective damage with Mud Bomb, but Mud Bomb is not the strongest move ever, so Aurorus is going to be able to tank it and continue to farm. Aurorus is going to commit the final shield, looking to try and double up on Weather Balls. Firing off the first one, this is going to be getting that Stunfisk quite low. Stunfisk trying to reach another charge move. They cannot get there. Aurorus reaches another Weather Ball. This comfortably will be taking out the Stunfisk, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a Nightmare lead Aurorus into Obstagoon. We are going to see an immediate save switch into Galar Moltres. Obstagoon is going to farm up some energy and then send in Noctowl. Noctowl definitely not going to appreciate these ancient powers. Moltres fires out the first and it connects. Moltres already at ancient power number 2, applying a ton of pressure onto the Noctowl. Noctowl is forced to commit a shield, and honestly, I think you just let this go at this point. Galar Moltres has done its job, gotten you shield advantage, and this should set up an incredible farm opportunity for Aurorus, because as we know from a previous video, Aurorus does hit extremely hard even in neutral situations, so if Aurorus can get a nice energy lead, then it should be able to put in some work against the Obstagoon. Shadow Ball not going to be lethal from this range. Opponent does full send it. Aurorus is very low, but able to farm down. Opponent sends back in the Obstagoon into a loaded Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam lands on the Obstagoon, and Aurorus, before it gets taken out, reaches a final Weather Ball. This Weather Ball is is going to grab the shield from the Obstagoon, and now it's 2 shield Shadow Dusclops versus the world. Dusclops is going to let the first move through. It is the Night Slash. Thankfully, no boost. Night Slash number 2 fired off at the Dusclops. Dusclops is going to start shielding. Opponent is going to switch into Pelipper, and we've already seen what happens to Pelipper when they encounter a Poltergeist. It does not go well for them. We are going to see Dusclops going straight for the Poltergeist. Hello, Pelipper. Goodbye, Pelipper. Back in comes the Obstagoon. Obstagoon is going to get outpaced by Dusclops. Dusclops taking care of the Obstagoon and securing the win. Decent lead in the next match, Aurorus into Galvantula. Opponent is going to save switch into Diggersby, and oh man, this Diggersby is not going to appreciate the Galar Moltres. In comes Moltres, ready to make Diggersby throw fire punches, but this Diggersby is running Hyper Beam. You have got to be kidding me. Diggersby lands the Hyper Beam, and suddenly Galar Moltres is in danger. Moltres is going to continue to farm. Diggersby reaches a second Fire Punch, and we're going to see both shields used by the Galar Moltres. Moltres farms up to 100 energy and is going to fire off the Brave Bird. This Brave Bird is going to hurt. Diggersby lets it go. Opponent can bring back in Galvantula, but they will have to deal with the loaded Ancient Power. They do send back in Galv, and Galv will be met with the Ancient Power. Ancient Power is going to get a shield, as Galv is able to farm down. Back in comes Aurorus with the loaded energy, going straight for the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam KOs in the back. They have Toxicroak firing off the boosted Weather Ball to grab a shield, and then it's going to be Poltergeist time. In comes Shadow Dusclops, and this Toxicroak is in a tremendous amount of pain, only able to throw Mud Bombs in this matchup. Mud Bomb does no damage. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Aurorus into Frostlass. Opponent is going to save switch into Dubwool, and Dubwool is a definite core breaker for this team. Most Dubwools are going to be running Payback, and Payback is going to land, dealing massive damage to the Dusclops. Dusclops is going to return fire with the Ice Punch, but Ice Punch is not threatening. Dubwool is able to let that go and continue to farm, and at this point, it is looking like switch advantage is going to be lost. They're able to land Payback number 2. Back in comes Aurorus. Aurorus is going to go straight for the Meteor Beam. This Meteor Beam will KO if they let it through, which they do. Aurorus is now boosted, but it's an Obstagoon waiting for the Aurorus in the back. That is not great. Firing off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball gets the shield, and now it's all up to Galar Moltres. Galar Moltres is going to have to put in a lot of work here because the Aurorus took heavy damage, and the opponent is going to bring back in the Frostlass. Galar Moltres firing off the Ancient Power would really benefit from a boost here. Ancient Power gets the shield, but we do not see a boost. Frostlass will fire off a last second charge move here. We are going to see a shield from Galar Moltres. Moltres is going to go for the Brave Bird. This is neutral damage, but it will do massive damage, taking out the Frostlass. Back in comes Obstagoon. Obstagoon gets the farm down. Obstagoon will farm down the dinosaur as well, and that is a good game. Dream lead in the next match, Aurorus into Noctowl. Opponent is going to save switch into Cophagrigus, and Cophagrigus is going to be met with the Galar Moltres. Moltres, due to its dark subtyping, is of course going to be resisting everything that Cophagrigus throws its way. Moltres continues to farm. Cophagrigus is going to fire off a second charge move. Moltres will be able to tank this as well. They go for the Dark Pulse. Moltres farming up close to 100 energy and is going to full send the Brave Bird. Brave Bird onto Cophagrigus, able to KO, and able to keep switch. Back in comes Noctowl. Noctowl is going to be met with the loaded Ancient Power. This Ancient Power lands and deals a nice chunk of damage. Noctowl does get the farm down. Aurorus going for the kill shot here with the Meteor Beam. Does the opponent commit the shield? They do not. And in the back is Dusknoir. Dusknoir did also get Poltergeist, so this could set up a showdown between Shadow Dusclops and Dusknoir. Dusknoir is going to fire off a charge move. At this point, you can honestly just save your shield and bring in the Dusclops. Here we go. Shadow Dusclops versus Dusknoir. You love to see it. Dusknoir is going to fire off a charge move. We do see a shield. Opponent full sends the Poltergeist. Dusclops is going to reach the Poltergeist as well. I mean, an Ice Punch would have KO'd, but at this point, it's for style points. That's going to KO, and that is a good game. Decent lead in the next match, Aurorus into Galvantula. This Galvantula is staying in. Aurorus is going to fire off the Weather Ball right away. Galvantula knows it's just a Weather Ball, so they can let that through, but he wanted to get some damage off before the Galv is going to fire off the lunge. Galv goes for the lunge, it's able to land, will of course get that attack drop, but even so, this next Weather Ball is going to be lethal. Weather Ball is going to KO Galvantula. Opponent is going to send in Hypno. We see an aggressive save switch into the DUSCLOPS, which will be met with a Unova Stunfisk. Unova Stunfisk definitely not going to appreciate the Ice Punches here, as the Ice Punches will definitely add up over time. Stunfisk does have a lot of energy, and they're going to start firing it off now. They go for the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb not going to do a lot of damage. Opponent may be hoping that double Mud Bomb is going to be enough to KO, but Discharge does actually do more, so Discharge may be the way to go here. We are going to see DUSCLOPS firing off more Ice Punches. That Ice Punch is going to get them low. DUSCLOPS going for the farm down and looking to try and land a Poltergeist onto the Hypno. We are going to see the Hypno return. Hypno is going to be met with the Poltergeist here. Does the opponent respect it? Yes, they do. Back in comes Aurorus. Aurorus is going to reach a Weather Ball. Weather Ball, not going to do a lot of damage, but will get some solid chip. Opponent commits the shield. They had lost count, maybe expecting a Meteor Beam. And now this Hypno is going to be met with the Galar Moltres. Moltres farming up towards that Brave Bird. Hypno will fire off the Focus Blast. Moltres able to hang on and return fire with a heavy hitting move of its own. Brave Bird takes down the Hypno and secures the win. We've got some spice in the next match, Aurorus into Shadow Girafarig. This Shadow Girafarig is running Double Kick, which is bad news for Aurorus, as that's going to hit for double super effective damage. Girafarig is going to fire off the Psychic Fangs, and we are going to see a Weather Ball fired in return. Obviously, short of a Meteor Beam, so the opponent doesn't have to shield this. We do see a save switch into Galar Moltres, which is going to be met with an opposing Aurorus. Definitely not a great spot to be in. Moltres will be able to connect with an Ancient Power, but unfortunately does not get the boost. Aurorus has overfarmed quite a bit here. We are going to see a shield from the Galar Moltres, trying to get shields down if at all possible, because if you get shields down, then Poltergeist is about to absolutely go off in the end game. Moltres continues to farm. Tough decision here. Moltres, last second shield, trying to reach the Ancient Power, and it appears to be a CMP tie. That is massive. Aurorus chooses to let it go, and Moltres gets the long-awaited boost. In the back is Shadow Zapdos, and this is incredibly bad. Opponent sends in Girafarig, trying to go for the Ice Punch, but loses CMP to the Girafarig. That is incredibly bad, and I believe this will basically be game over, because the opponent can save the shield for the Shadow Zapdos, and Zapdos, with an energy lead and a shield advantage, is incredibly deadly. Zapdos fires off the Thunderbolt, down goes Dusclops, back in comes Aurorus, but unfortunately Aurorus is not going to be able to reach the back-to-back moves needed. Drill Peck KOs Aurorus. They are able to farm down the Moltres and get the win. Hopping into the final match, picking up a pretty decent lead, Aurorus into Alolan Sandshrew. This, of course, is dependent on Sandshrew's moveset. If Sandshrew happens to be running Gyro Ball, then things could get rough fast. Aurorus lets it through. It is just a Night Slash from the Sandshrew, and Sandshrew is going to take massive neutral damage from Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam does get shielded. Opponent is going to save switch into Jellicent. Aurorus continues to farm, and is going to send in Moltres, saving all that energy for later, and we will see an immediate Ancient Power from the Moltres. Moltres fires off the Ancient Power, able to get the final shield. That is quite nice. Moltres lets it go. This Jellicent is running Ice Beam, so Moltres definitely will have to respect Ice Beam number 2. We do see the immediate shield here from the Moltres. Moltres will be able to farm up and reach the Brave Bird. This will hit for massive neutral damage onto the bulky Jellicent. Brave Bird takes out the Jellicent and keeps switch advantage. In the back, the opponent has Diggersby. Diggersby farming up, and we see a beautiful catch, catching that Brave Bird onto the Sandshrew. Sandshrew definitely not going to appreciate that damage, and Sandshrew will be met with the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam KOs. Aurorus will, of course, be boosted here. Diggersby does have a lot of energy, lets it through. It's the Fire Punch bait and able to reach the boosted Weather Ball. What a call. This Weather Ball connects, massive damage onto the Diggersby. Diggersby is going to fire off another Fire Punch, and we are going to see a shield from Auroras. Auroras able to reach another Weather Ball. This will be more than enough to take care of the Diggersby, and Auroras clutches the win. All in all, I think that Poltergeist on DUSCLOPS is a definite plus. DUSCLOPS has desperately been in need of a nuke move for quite some time. Some people, of course, were able to run Return, but Return, of course, can't hit anything for super effective damage, and that's where Poltergeist can be very handy. Poltergeist gets same type attack bonus and can hit opponents for super effective damage, so in shields down situations, it does make Shadow DUSCLOPS significantly scarier to go up against. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.